I never thought I'd witness a woman who tried to steal my $1.5 million lake house scrambling through mud in her designer gown, humiliated as neighbors recorded her downfall. But that's how the saga ended. When I discovered strangers living in the home I inherited, a property I never rented out, I had no idea it would unravel a sinister HOA scheme that had ruined lives for years. My name is Nathan Carter, and this is how I exposed Vanessa Langston, a ruthless HOA president who was renting out my lake house for $250 a night, never expecting me to walk in and turn her world upside down. The lake house at Crystal Cove had always been my sanctuary. My grandparents bought it in the 1970s when the lake was a quiet retreat, not the elite enclave it is today. After they passed last year, I was stunned to learn they'd left it to me. Memories of childhood summers flooded back, swimming in the pristine water, watching my grandmother knit on the porch swing with the lake shimmering behind her. If she knew someone was turning our family home into a cheap motel, she'd have been heartbroken. As a software developer working remotely, I planned to split my time between my city apartment and the lake house, now worth nearly $1.5 million thanks to its prime location and private dock. Financial strain from a lawsuit against my former employer over data privacy issues had me considering renting it out legitimately, but I hadn't taken any steps yet. A month after inheriting the property, Vanessa Langston approached me at a neighborhood cocktail party, her diamond earrings sparkling under the string lights. "Such a pity to let that house sit empty," she said, her smile sharp as a blade. "If you ever want to sell, I'd be happy to find you a buyer." I thought she was just being friendly. How wrong I was. One Friday night in May, I drove up to check on the house after months away for work. It was past 11 p.m. when I turned onto the private road, and my stomach dropped. Lights blazed inside, lights I hadn't left on. The front door was ajar, and voices echoed from within. My first thought was that friends might have borrowed the place, but no one I called knew anything about it. Stepping inside, I found a family of 4 parents and 2 teens staring at me from my grandfather's old recliner. "Who are you?" the father demanded. "We rented this place on Airbnb for $1,500 for 3 nights. My heart raced. "I'm Nathan Carter," I said, struggling to stay calm. "I own this house, and I've never listed it anywhere." The family showed me their Airbnb confirmation, complete with photos of my home and a description boasting amenities like a gourmet kitchen and luxury bedding I didn't even own. Someone had not only broken into my house but was profiting off it. Airbnb confirmed a listing under my name, but the driver's license used didn't match a fake ID. My security system was disabled, the spare key I'd hidden was gone, and a lockbox I'd never installed held the entry code. The police were useless, calling it a civil dispute, since there was no forced entry and the renters had legitimate-looking emails. Frustrated but sympathetic, I let the family stay the night while I took the couch, promising to help them get their money back. As they slept, I roamed the house, documenting changes. My grandparents' antiques were replaced with modern furniture, and a stack of HOA newsletters on the desk bore Vanessa Langston's name as president. Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "I know your house is empty. HOA Rule 8.42 forbids that. We're just helping you out." A chill ran down my spine. My friend Mike's words echoed. When an HOA says they're helping, check your wallet and call a lawyer. The next morning, after arranging a hotel for the family, I dug deeper. Vanessa, a polished real estate broker, had recently become HOA president. I remembered her at neighborhood events, always overdressed, sizing people up like a predator. I contacted Sarah Mitchell, a freelance journalist who lived nearby and knew everyone's secrets. "You're on Vanessa's radar," Sarah warned, pulling out a thick folder. "That's bad news." Over coffee on her deck, she revealed Vanessa's game. She'd formed the HOA 2 years ago to protect property values, but turned it into a tool for control. Rules ballooned from simple guidelines to an 80-page manual dictating everything from mailbox colors to visitor schedules. Sarah showed me photos of strangers entering other homes when owners were away, suspecting Vanessa had targeted at least 2 other properties, forcing sales at steep discounts. Sarah's research suggested Vanessa had pulled similar scams in Nevada a decade ago, targeting vacation homes and upscale communities. She'd establish herself as a community leader, create restrictive HOAs, then prey on absent owners, piling on fines until they sold cheap. Armed with this, I confronted Vanessa at the HOA office, a former boathouse now decked out like a corporate suite with her real estate awards on display. Mr. Carter, she purred, gesturing to a chair like she was granting me an audience. I know you're renting out my house, I said bluntly. Stop it now. She didn't flinch, sliding a document across her desk. HOA Rule 8.42. Properties can't be unoccupied for over 90 days without board approval. Your house has been empty for months. She tapped the paper, listing $15,000 in fines for violations I'd never heard of: unapproved landscaping, late dues, even an unauthorized paint color. That doesn't give you the right to break in and rent my house, I shot back. She laughed, claiming emergency access rights from a covenant I'd supposedly signed. The money, she said, went to an HOA trust, minus management fees. When I pressed, she suggested selling the house at 70% of its value, her eyes flicking to a model of a resort complex that looked eerily like my lakefront. You're trying to steal my house, I realized aloud. Her smile tightened. I have connections, permit office, tax assessor. Fighting me rarely ends well. Her threat was clear. Sarah texted me later. She's done this before. Vanessa thinks she's untouchable. I called Mike, a real estate attorney, who found that Rule 8.42 was never properly voted on, making it unenforceable. But fighting an HOA in court could take years, and Vanessa was counting on me giving up. I installed hidden cameras in my house, catching her showing renters around like she owned it. She'd changed locks, disabled my security, and listed the house on Airbnb, VRBO, and Booking.com, charging different rates and double booking. Sarah uncovered Vanessa's ties to James Thornton, a county official who'd bought a beachfront property from her at a 30% discount, explaining why he rubber-stamped her actions. Then came a game changer. Vanessa's husband, Robert, called me, his voice hushed. What my wife's doing isn't right, he said. We met at a Seattle coffee shop, where he confessed she'd run this scam in 3 neighborhoods. I've kept records, mails, recordings, everything. Guilt-ridden, he sent me a trove of evidence. A shell company, Crystal Cove Properties, funneled rental profits, falsified HOA ballots, and a spreadsheet listing my house as an acquisition target. Most chilling was a blueprint for a resort that would bulldoze my property. With Mike and Sarah, I built a case. I used AI to analyze Vanessa's recordings, pinpointing lies when she claimed to act for the community. We tracked down her past victims, who shared stories of fines and harassment until they sold cheap. Secret meetings with HOA members revealed Vanessa's intimidation tactics. Mysterious lawn damage, anonymous complaints, a blacklist for dissenters. My cameras caught her planning to turn my house into a boutique resort during a meeting in my living room, laughing about pushing me out. The pressure intensified. Vanessa banned short-term rentals except for HOA-managed properties, threatened to report me to the IRS, and hinted at digging into my past to smear me professionally. One night, I wrote a letter to my grandparents, apologizing for nearly losing their home. I was ready to sell until my bank alerted me to a forged attempt to refinance my mortgage. Vanessa had crossed into outright fraud. I changed tactics, pretending to cave. The fines are too much, I told her on a recorded call, feigning defeat. Maybe you're right about selling. She took the bait, offering to reduce penalties once we had a deal. Using a burner phone, I became Richard Grayson, a rich investor eyeing Crystal Cove for a resort. I emailed Vanessa's real estate office, requesting a tour of the Carter property. She jumped at the chance, proposing a VIP party at my house to pitch it to investors. She's hosting a sale in your own home, Sarah said, amazed. Her arrogance is her weakness, I replied, planning a sting. I transformed into Richard with a wig, prosthetics, and an East Coast accent, courtesy of a theater friend. Sarah set up a live stream with the hashtag #MyHomeMyRules, and a reporter posed as a server. Mike had legal documents ready, and Robert's evidence was prepped. Past victims would infiltrate as caterers or guests. On party night, I arrived in a rented Bentley, greeted by Vanessa in a sapphire gown. She'd gone all out: caterers, musicians, flowers, turning my home into a showroom. The owner's been a hassle, she whispered on the deck, but he's coming around. I'll handle the sale, no red tape. She nodded at James Thornton, promising he'd fast-track permits. For an hour, I played Richard, nodding as Vanessa pitched my house to investors. At 8:30, I signaled. The music stopped. Thank you, Vanessa, for hosting this in my home, I said, ripping off the wig and prosthetics. My home you had no right to rent or sell. The room froze. Vanessa's face twisted in horror. She's been breaking in, changing locks, and pocketing $250 a night, I declared, as Mike displayed evidence on the TV. Fake listings, bank transfers, illegal HOA rules, videos of Vanessa in my house. Past victims stepped forward, sharing their stories. Robert entered, announcing he'd given me her emails and recordings. I can't be part of this anymore, he said. Vanessa snapped. This is my community, she screamed. Your grandparents had everything while my family scraped by in a shack. Her outburst revealed a decades-old grudge against my family's property. She lunged at me, then bolted for the door, crashing her Lexus into an HOA planter, splattering mud everywhere. Phones captured it all, and Sarah's live stream hit 50,000 views by morning. Police arrived, and I showed them my ownership papers and Vanessa's crimes. They questioned her as she stood, mud-soaked and defeated. The fallout was swift. News outlets dubbed it the Crystal Cove Clash, with memes of Vanessa's muddy escape going viral. She resigned as HOA president, and James was suspended pending an ethics probe. Robert filed for divorce, and Vanessa's shell company faced audits. She threatened a $15 million defamation suit, but Mike's response, hundreds of pages of evidence, silenced her. Prosecutors charged her with fraud, identity theft, and breaking and entering. Her real estate license was revoked, and the IRS hit her with penalties for $300,000 in unreported income. Her lakefront home was foreclosed. We reformed the HOA, drafting transparent bylaws and creating a legal defense fund for homeowners. Sarah's article on HOA abuses went viral, spawning a best-selling book and documentary. I renovated the lake house, renting it legitimately, and bought a rental cabin ironically shown by Vanessa in her new job as a budget agent. Locals whispered about renters recognizing her from the viral videos, her shame palpable as she pitched my properties. Crystal Cove healed, neighbors reconnecting through cookouts and lake days, free from Vanessa's tyranny. At a community celebration, I spoke. An HOA isn't a kingdom. It's a trust. Never let a Karen take what's yours. A sign by my door read, protected by anti-Karen security. The lake house wasn't just a home, Anna Marie, it was a symbol of fighting back, a legacy my grandparents would have been proud of.